In the sleepy town of Linton, nestled between misty mountains and winding rivers, there stood an ancient temple-like establishment known as the Jade Lotus Sanctuary. The sanctuary was home to Master Huyen, a stern but respected fortune-teller and spiritual guide. At nearly 50 years old, Master Huyen carried the weight of his ancestors' legacy. He was the 72nd successor of the legendary Moonlight sect, famed across the region for its mystical arts and spiritual prowess. The Jade Lotus Sanctuary was once the heartbeat of Linton, drawing townsfolk seeking blessings, talismans, and insight into their faiths. But recently, its halls echoed with silence, and the soft flicker of incense smoke seemed to struggle in vain against the emptiness. The reason was a mysterious newcomer, a blind fortune-teller named Master Lam, whose small, humble shop had sprouted up in the neighboring alleyway, drawing crowds like a magnet. On a hazy afternoon, Master Huyen stood at the entrance of his sanctuary, dressed in a flowing dark robe embroidered with silver threads depicting the crescent moon. His face was taut with frustration as he watched the hesitant woman peek through the bamboo curtains, as if fearful of what she might find. "Come in, honored guest," Master Huyen called out, folding his hands respectfully. The woman hesitated, then stepped inside cautiously. "Are you Master Huyen of the Moonlight sect?" she asked, voice trembling. Master Huyen's brows furrowed deeply. "Of course. Who else would I be?" he said sharply, the faint echo of anger ringing in his voice. "Why do you hesitate so? Are you lost, or have you been misguided by the lies of others?" The woman swallowed nervously, her eyes flickering toward the doorway. I was told Master Lam might help. But I am unsure." A bitter laugh escaped Master Huyen's lips. "Master Lam? That blind fool. He parades around like some spiritual savior, but he knows nothing of our true arts. Everyone who matters in Linton knows where real power lies here, with the Moonlight sect. Yet they choose to waste their faith on charlatans." He turned abruptly, stepping outside and slamming the heavy wooden door behind him. His voice boomed down the narrow street, "If you want guidance, go 5 alleys down, then turn left twice. But don't mistake my sanctuary for a marketplace stall. If I catch anyone wandering through my gate without purpose, I'll personally sweep them out." The woman bowed her head and hurried away, leaving Master Huyen alone with his simmering resentment. Back inside, his wife Mai, a gentle woman with calm eyes and soothing hands, poured him a cup of jasmine tea. "You mustn't let your anger consume you," she advised quietly. "Master Lam may have stolen some of your patrons, but they'll return. True faith isn't easily lost." Master Huyen sighed, taking a slow sip. "My, it's not just about patrons. The Moonlight sect has guided this town for centuries. If word spreads that some blind charlatan can pull crowds with cheap tricks, our heritage will be forgotten." Mai smiled faintly. "Sometimes change is inevitable. Perhaps we must learn from this challenge." As dusk settled, word came that a well-known landowner from the village of Yenhoa was seeking Master Huian's expertise. This man, Mr. Fang, was respected but troubled. Recent misfortunes had plagued his family. Hearing of Master Lam's rising reputation, he had first visited the blind fortune teller but found no solace. Now, he hoped for true spiritual guidance. Master Huian welcomed Mr. Fang warmly and listened as he recounted his troubles, the failing crops, mysterious illnesses, and ominous dreams that haunted his nights. Nodding solemnly, Master Huian assured him that the moonlight sect's ancient arts would reveal the root of these woes. But as the night deepened, a whisper of doubt crept into Master Huian's mind. What secrets did Master Lam hide behind his blind eyes? How had he charmed the townspeople so effortlessly? Suddenly, a young apprentice burst into the sanctuary, breathless. Master Lam was seen near the eastern market just now, speaking with the town elders. His crowd grows larger by the day. Master Huian's eyes narrowed with fierce determination. Then it's time I pay that blind man a visit, he declared. Let's see if his powers are true, or mere shadows. That night, beneath the silver glow of a crescent moon, the silent rivalry between two masters, one-sided, steeped in tradition, the other blind, cloaked in mystery, was about to begin. The fate of Lin Tan's spiritual soul hung precariously in the balance. The next morning, the village of Lin Tan stirred quietly under a misty dawn. Word had already begun to spread. Master Huian, guardian of the Moonlight Sect's legacy, was preparing to confront his mysterious rival, the blind fortune teller Master Lam. Master Huian, dressed in his dark robes, walked briskly through narrow alleys, his mind racing with questions. How had Master Lam managed to captivate the town's trust despite his blindness? What hidden power did he wield? His pride as a spiritual heir bristled at the thought of being overshadowed. The sun's rays barely pierced the fog when Master Huian arrived at a modest wooden shop adorned with faded red banners. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of sandalwood and herbal incense. A handful of villagers gathered, their faces a mixture of hope and reverence. Sitting cross-legged on a woven mat was Master Lam, a man in his late 40s with milky white eyes veiled by thick lids. Despite his blindness, his presence commanded calm and quiet strength. Master Lam, Master Huian announced, stepping forward with measured authority. I have come to see what secrets you hide that have drawn the people away from the true path. The blind man smiled gently, his lips curling like a crescent moon. Master Huian, the path to truth is not always paved with sight. Sometimes, one must look inward to truly see. Before the tension could escalate, a sudden commotion erupted outside. A frantic mother rushed in, clutching her trembling son. Please, Master Lam. My child has fallen ill with a strange fever no doctor can cure. We've tried everything. Master Lam's eyes remained closed as he reached out his hand, placing it softly on the boy's forehead. The room fell silent. Then, with a faint hum, he muttered an incantation, ancient words whispered like a breeze through bamboo leaves. Hours passed, and the boy's breathing steadied. Color slowly returned to his cheeks. The mother wept with relief, praising the blind seer's gift. Master Huyen watched in disbelief. Could such power truly belong to a man without sight? That evening, alone in his sanctuary, Master Huyen pondered deeply. He recalled the tales of the Moonlight Sect's founder, who had warned that true spiritual power transcended physical senses. Perhaps, he thought, the blind master had tapped into something beyond mere tradition. Yet the rivalry remained. Determined to understand, Master Huyen decided to follow the footsteps of Master Lam's mysterious past. Rumors spoke of a hidden temple in the nearby mountains where the blind seer had trained under a reclusive hermit, mastering rare and forbidden arts. As the moon rose high, Master Huyen prepared a journey to uncover the truth. Unbeknownst to him, shadows stirred in the darkness, forces ancient and restless, watching, waiting. The stage was set for a battle not only of skill but of spirit and destiny. Lin Tan's fate would soon be entwined with secrets long buried beneath the earth and whispered in the wind. At dawn, Master Huyen set out from Lin Tan, carrying only a small satchel filled with sacred talismans and scrolls passed down through generations of the Moonlight Sect. His mind was a whirlwind of anticipation and doubt. The mountain temple where Master Lam had trained was said to be hidden deep within the Tuyen Gayat forest, a place where light rarely touched the ground, and whispers of forgotten spirits lingered. Among the ancient trees, the villagers watched his departure with mixed feelings. Some admired his courage, while others feared the dangers lurking in those shadows. Among them, Master Huyen's wife, offered a quiet prayer for his safe return. As he ventured deeper into the forest, a chilling mist curled around the towering trunks like spectral fingers. Strange sounds echoed: the rustle of leaves, distant howls, and the soft murmur of unseen voices. Master Huyen's grip tightened on his walking staff, his senses heightened. Suddenly, a figure stepped onto the path ahead, an old man draped in tattered robes, eyes gleaming with unnatural light. He spoke in a voice as ancient as the forest itself. "You seek the temple of the blind seer," the stranger said. "But beware, for those who enter must confront not only spirits without bodies but the shadows within their own hearts." Master Huyen bowed respectfully. "I seek only knowledge and understanding, to restore balance to Lin Tan." The old man nodded slowly. "Very well. Follow me, but remember the path you walk is lined with trials that test mind, body, and soul." With that, the mysterious guide led Master Huyen through twisting paths, past spectral lights that danced like will-o'-the-wisps. At one point, a sudden gust extinguished his lantern, plunging them into utter darkness. Master Huyen could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. A cold whisper brushed past his ear, "Face your fears, or be lost forever." Drawing on his inner strength, Master Huyen closed his eyes and began a meditation chant taught by his ancestors. Slowly, the darkness seemed to recede, and faint outlines of a temple appeared through the fog, a structure carved from black stone, adorned with symbols glowing faintly in silver. As he approached, the air grew thick with power. Suddenly, from the shadows, a group of ethereal figures emerged, spirits bound by ancient curses, their hollow eyes pleading for release. Among them was a child spirit clutching a faded jade pendant. Master Huyen realized the true test awaited to cleanse the temple of these restless souls and prove his worth. Back in Linton, whispers spread that Master Lam had begun preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Villagers gathered at his humble shop, hoping for guidance and protection. The tension between the two masters grew palpable, the fate of the town hanging in the balance between light and shadow, tradition and mystery. The black stone temple stood solemn and silent, its ancient walls engraved with faded runes that pulsed faintly in the misty air. Master Huyen's heart pounded, knowing that beyond these gates lay the truths he sought, but also dangers far beyond mortal comprehension. As he stepped over the threshold, a chill ran down his spine. The air was thick, laden with sorrow and old magic. Shadows seemed to writhe along the walls like living creatures, and faint whispers echoed from unseen corners. Suddenly, the heavy wooden doors slammed shut behind him with a thunderous boom, leaving him engulfed in near darkness. Master Huyen lit a small incense stick and raised his voice in a solemn chant, calling upon the protection of his ancestors. The runes flickered brighter, casting an eerie glow, and slowly the room revealed itself, vast and circular, with pillars spiraling upward into blackness. Before him appeared the first trial, a spectral figure draped in tattered robes, its face a swirling mist. It spoke in a voice that seemed to come from the depths of the earth. Only the worthy may pass. To move forward, you must face your deepest fear, the darkness within your own soul. A sudden vision struck Master Huyen, memories of his youth, his early failures, the times he doubted his path, moments when pride blinded him and cost innocent lives. His heart ached with the weight of regret. The spirit extended a hand, and cold shadows coiled around him, pulling him toward despair. Summoning all his will, Master Huyen whispered a prayer taught by his Saifu, focusing on light and forgiveness. Slowly, the shadows loosened their grip, and the vision faded. The spirit nodded solemnly and dissolved into a mist that drifted away like smoke. Breathing heavily, Master Huyen pressed onward to the next chamber, where a wall of flickering flames blocked his path. From within the fire emerged voices chanting in an ancient tongue, voices accusing, mocking, demanding sacrifice. He realized this was the trial of temptation, promises of power, glory, and vengeance whispered to lure him into corruption. Master Huyen steeled himself, recalling the vows of the Moonlight sect: humility, service, and balance. He closed his eyes and envisioned the faces of those he sought to protect, their hopes and fears. The flames flickered and then retreated, revealing a narrow passage leading further into the temple. The final trial awaited, a labyrinth of mirrors, each reflecting not just his image but echoes of possible futures, paths of light and shadow, triumph and ruin. In one mirror, he saw himself victorious, the town of Linton peaceful and prosperous. In another, he saw destruction, despair, and his own downfall. Master Huyen realized the battle ahead was not just with his rival Master Lam, but with his own doubts and choices. Gathering his courage, he stepped forward, shattering the illusions with a burst of spiritual energy. At the labyrinth's end stood a small altar, upon which rested a jade amulet glowing with ethereal light, the symbol of true sight beyond physical eyes. Master Huian reached out and grasped the amulet, feeling a surge of clarity and strength flood his being. Outside, the wind howled as storm clouds gathered over Lintan. Somewhere in the town, Master Lam sat in silent meditation, sensing the shift in spiritual energies. The stage was set. Two masters, bound by fate and mystery, were about to face a confrontation that would echo through generations. The storm's roar echoed through Lintan as twilight descended. Lanterns flickered in the narrow streets, casting trembling shadows that danced like restless spirits. Inside his humble shop, Master Lam sat cross-legged, eyes closed but mind alert, feeling the pulse of unseen energies shifting across the town. He had sensed the arrival of Master Huian's spirit, carrying newfound power from the Black Temple. The old rivalry was no longer a simple contest of skill, it was a battle of destinies, intertwined by fate and secrets long buried beneath layers of history. Suddenly, a soft knock interrupted the silence. A young woman, cloaked in a deep emerald shawl, stepped inside cautiously. Her eyes were wide with fear and hope. "Master Lam, I come with a warning," she whispered, placing a folded scroll on the low wooden table. "There are forces beyond our understanding stirring in Lintan, darker than any spirit or curse. You must prepare." Unfolding the scroll, Master Lam's eyes scanned the ancient symbols and cryptic writings. They spoke of a hidden cult, the Shadow Veil, a clandestine group that sought to harness forbidden powers by awakening an ancient demon buried beneath the town centuries ago. Master Lam's fingers tightened around a jade amulet hanging from his neck, a relic given by his hermit master, said to protect its bearer from malevolent forces. Meanwhile, in the grand sanctuary of the Moonlight Sect, Master Huian sat before an altar, the jade amulet from the Black Temple glowing softly in his palm. His mind was troubled, torn between his pride and an uneasy premonition. His wife Mai entered silently, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "The past is catching up to you," she said softly. "Both you and Master Lam are pawns in a game much larger than your feud." Master Huian nodded slowly. "I fear you're right. The temple trials revealed more than strength. They whispered of shadows growing deeper, beyond any rivalry." That night, the streets of Lintan were restless. Whispers of strange figures moving through alleyways, flickers of unnatural lights in the forest edge, and a chilling breeze that seemed to carry mournful cries. Master Lam and Master Huian, unaware of each other's movements, found themselves drawn to the old abandoned shrine on the outskirts, rumored to be the resting place of the ancient demon. As they arrived, the air thickened with dark energy. Symbols etched in blood glowed faintly on the shrine's stone walls. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Suddenly, a chorus of voices rose, chanting in an ancient, forgotten language. Figures cloaked in black robes emerged from the shadows, their eyes burning with fanatic zeal. "The Shadow Veil awakens," their leader proclaimed, raising a staff topped with a twisted skull. Master Lam and Master Huian exchanged a brief glance. Rivals, yes, but now forced into uneasy alliance against a common enemy. The battle that followed was fierce. Spiritual energies clashed in brilliant bursts, shadows recoiled from bursts of sacred light, and the very earth seemed to scream as the ancient seal weakened. In the heat of combat, Master Lam reached out to Master Huian. "We must combine our strengths," he urged. "Separately, we fall. Together, we might save Lin Tan." Master Huian hesitated, pride battling reason. But the desperate faces of the townsfolk and the growing darkness left no choice. Nodding, he extended his hand. "For Lin Tan." Their powers intertwined, weaving a radiant shield that pushed back the cultists and sealed the shrine once more for now. Breathing heavily, the two masters stood side by side, aware that this fragile truce might be the only hope against the encroaching shadows. The dawn broke cold and gray over Lin Tan, leaving the town draped in a heavy silence after the violent clash at the old shrine. The cultists of the Shadow Vale had been repelled, but only for now. Dark whispers crept through the alleys, warning that the battle was far from over. Master Lam sat alone in his dimly lit chamber, the jade amulet warm against his chest. His milky eyes stared blankly ahead, but his mind raced through memories long buried. Years ago, before arriving in Lin Tan, Master Lam was known as El Etan, a gifted but reckless disciple of forbidden arts. Driven by youthful arrogance, he had sought power beyond the limits of the Moonlight Sect's teachings. His pursuit led him to the enigmatic hermit Tran Lao, who dwelled deep within the mountains, rumored to possess knowledge of the Shadow Vale. Under Tran Lao's tutelage, El Etan learned secrets that blurred the lines between light and darkness. He was blinded in a ritual meant to awaken his inner sight, a sacrifice that granted him unparalleled spiritual perception but left his physical eyes forever sealed. Now, Master Lam knew that the Shadow Vale's ambitions were entwined with his own fate and the fate of Lin Tan. At the same time, Master Huian convened a council within the Jade Lotus Sanctuary. Mai and several trusted disciples gathered around the ancient table, poring over scrolls and charts that traced the cult's influence. "We have only scratched the surface," Mai warned. "The Shadow Vale's reach extends beyond Lin Tan into neighboring provinces and even the capital." Master Huian nodded gravely. "We must strengthen our defenses and uncover their next move. But more urgently, we need to understand Master Lam's connection to this darkness." A knock interrupted their meeting. A young messenger entered, breathless. "Master Huian, strange happenings reported near the southern riverbank: disappearances, eerie lights, and unnatural storms." Without hesitation, Master Huian prepared to leave, but Mai stopped him. "Take me with you. We cannot face this alone." Meanwhile, Master Lam journeyed to the hermit's remote mountain refuge, seeking answers to the growing turmoil. The path was treacherous, winding through cliffs and tangled forests. Upon arrival, the hermit awaited, a gaunt figure draped in earth-toned robes, eyes shining with otherworldly wisdom. "You return, blind seer," Tran Lao said with a faint smile. "The Shadow Vale stirs because the seals weaken. Your role in this prophecy is greater than you realize." Master Lam bowed his head. "Teach me how to confront what lies beneath the veil." The hermit led him into a cavern lit by phosphorescent fungi, walls etched with ancient symbols. There, Master Lamb underwent a ritual to deepen his inner sight, risking further loss but gaining clarity about the cult's ultimate goal to unleash a primordial demon sealed beneath Linton. Centuries ago. Back in town, Master Huian and Mai reached the southern riverbank, where frightened villagers recounted harrowing tales. Shadows that moved like living smoke, voices whispering in forgotten tongues, and a darkness that consumed hope. As they investigated, the ground trembled and a fissure cracked open near the water's edge, revealing ancient stone steps descending into blackness. The two masters exchanged a solemn glance. Their journey was leading them into the heart of shadow itself. The ancient stone steps yawned before Master Huian and Mai, descending into the cold, damp darkness beneath Linton. The air grew thick with the scent of earth and forgotten sorrows, and the flickering lantern light cast long, wavering shadows along the crumbling walls. The villagers' warnings echoed in their minds. The place beneath the riverbank was a sealed tomb of an ancient evil, buried centuries ago by their ancestors. The Shadow Veil sought to break those seals and awaken the primordial demon imprisoned within. Master Huian tightened his grip on his staff, whispering protective chants as they descended. Mai followed close, her calm presence a steadying force against the growing dread. Deeper and deeper they went, until they reached a vast underground chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness. In the center stood a massive stone altar, covered with arcane symbols glowing faintly with blue light. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low growl rumbled through the chamber, and from the shadows emerged a colossal figure, the imprisoned demon, its form half submerged in chains forged from celestial steel. Its eyes burned with a fierce, malevolent light. At that moment, Master Lamb appeared at the chamber's entrance, his white eyes glowing softly. "You were right, Huian. This is the source of the darkness threatening Linton. But we cannot defeat it alone." Reluctantly, the two masters nodded in agreement. Together, they began a ritual, weaving their spiritual energies into a radiant barrier. The demon roared, thrashing against its bonds, and the chamber shook violently. Suddenly, the cultists of the Shadow Veil stormed in, chanting dark incantations to break the seals. A fierce battle erupted, spiritual power clashing with forbidden magic, light against shadow. Amidst the chaos, Mai discovered an ancient scroll hinting at a forgotten weapon capable of banishing the demon forever, the celestial Fang, a mystical blade lost to time. With the fate of the town hanging in the balance, the masters and Mai knew their fight was only beginning. The celestial Fang had to be found before the seals shattered, or all would be lost. After the fierce battle beneath the riverbank's ancient chamber, Master Huian, Master Lamb, and Mai regrouped at the edge of Linton, their bodies weary but spirits unbroken. The cultists had been driven back for now, but the seal's weakening power cast a dark shadow over their victory. Mai unrolled the ancient scroll she had found among the debris. The faded script spoke of the celestial Fang, a legendary blade forged by the celestial smiths in the age before man, imbued with the power to pierce even the darkest curses. The celestial Fang was hidden away in the temple of the falling star, Mai explained, her voice steady despite the urgency. It lies beyond the Silver Mountains, guarded by trials meant only for the pure of heart. Master Lamb nodded, eyes glowing with resolve. If we fail to retrieve it, Lin Tan's fate is sealed. The trio prepared for the perilous journey. Villagers gathered to offer supplies and blessings. Among them was a mysterious traveler, a young woman named Lin, who claimed to be a descendant of the celestial smiths themselves. "I know the paths through the Silver Mountains," Lin said, her emerald eyes shining with determination. "Let me guide you." With Lin joining their quest, the group set out at dawn, leaving behind the quiet town gripped by fear and hope. The path through the Silver Mountains was treacherous. Blustering winds whipped across narrow ledges, and jagged peaks loomed like silent sentinels. Along the way, they encountered enchanted beasts, spectral wolves with eyes of fire, and stone guardians awakened from ancient slumber. In one narrow pass, the group was ambushed by Shadow Veil assassins, desperate to halt their progress. A fierce skirmish ensued, testing their resolve and unity. During a quiet moment by a frozen waterfall, Master Huiyan shared his doubts. "I fear our divisions weaken us. Can two masters, once rivals, truly unite against the darkness?" Master Lam's gaze was steady. "Our past matters less than our purpose now. The darkness fears unity." Mai smiled gently, placing a reassuring hand on Huiyan's arm. "Together, we carry the hope of many." At the mountain's summit, the Temple of the Falling Star awaited, an ancient ruin carved into the cliffs, its walls shimmering with stardust. But the temple was protected by the Trial of Shadows, a test that would challenge their deepest fears and desires. As they crossed the threshold, the air shimmered, and the temple seemed to come alive, corridors shifting, illusions weaving reality and dream. Lin revealed her true power, conjuring protective wards to shield them as they ventured deeper. The group pressed on, each step bringing them closer to the celestial Fang and the destiny that awaited. The air inside the Temple of the Falling Star was thick with an otherworldly glow. As Master Huiyan, Master Lam, Mai, and Lin stepped deeper, the very walls seemed to pulse with ancient energy, and the ground beneath their feet shifted subtly, as if alive. Suddenly, the corridor ahead dissolved into a swirling mist. When the haze cleared, each found themselves alone, standing before a mirror-like surface that reflected not their physical appearance but the darkest corners of their souls. Master Huiyan's reflection showed him burdened with doubt and pride, visions of failures past, of lives lost despite his power. The mirror whispered accusations, tempting him to abandon his quest. Across another chamber, Master Lam faced a vision of his former self, reckless and blinded by ambition, threatening to consume the present Master Lam in shadows. Mai's reflection revealed fears of helplessness, haunted by memories of those she couldn't save. Lin confronted visions of betrayal and isolation, shadows that questioned her true lineage and purpose. Struggling against their personal demons, each warrior fought not with weapons but with willpower. Their chants, prayers, and inner strength wove a tapestry of light that began to dispel the shadows. Only when each accepted their flaws and embraced forgiveness did the mirrors shimmer and dissolve, reuniting them in the temple's heart chamber. There, upon a pedestal bathed in starlight, lay the celestial Fang, a blade forged of radiant metal, its edge flickering like a comet's tail. As Mai reached out to claim it, a sudden roar shook the temple. The Shadow Veil's cultists, led by their sinister commander, had followed the group and now stormed the temple, intent on seizing the blade and unleashing the ancient demon. An epic battle erupted amid the temple ruins, spells and swords clashing, light and shadow entwined in desperate combat. Master Lam and Master Huian fought side by side, their earlier rivalry replaced by a bond forged in shared purpose. Lin's celestial heritage manifested in bursts of radiant energy that repelled the cultists, while Mai provided healing and support. As the tide turned, the cult commander unleashed a forbidden spell, summoning shadowy tendrils from the temple floor, threatening to consume them all. In a final act of unity, the masters combined their powers through the celestial Fang, releasing a wave of pure light that banished the shadows and shattered the cult's hold. Exhausted but victorious, the group knew this was but the beginning. The ancient demon remained imprisoned, but the weakening seals meant it could awaken again. They resolved to return to Linton and prepare for the final confrontation. Returning from the perilous temple of the falling star, Master Huian, Master Lam, Mai, and Lin found Linton cloaked in an uneasy quiet. The townsfolk went about their days with nervous glances cast toward the distant mountains, aware that a greater darkness loomed on the horizon. Inside the Jade Lotus Sanctuary, the four convened to plan their next move. Mai spread ancient maps and scrolls across the altar, marking places rumored to hold fragments of the demon's lingering power. Although the seals remain, they are fraying, Mai warned, her voice grave. If we do not act swiftly, the demon's influence will seep into the land, corrupting everything. Master Lam nodded. The Shadow Veil will stop at nothing to break the final seal. They have allies in the city, corrupt officials, underground cultists, their reach is vast. Suddenly, a loud pounding echoed at the door. A frantic messenger burst in, breathless and pale. Masters! The river that runs through Linton, it's turning black, thick as oil. Fish are dying, and an unnatural fog has settled. Master Huian's eyes narrowed. The demon's curse spreads. We must investigate immediately. Outside, the riverbank was transformed into a scene from a nightmare. The water churned with dark energy, tendrils of shadow creeping along its surface. Villagers stood helpless, clutching amulets and praying for protection. Lin stepped forward, placing her hands gently over the water. Closing her eyes, she murmured celestial incantations, but the corruption resisted, writhing beneath her touch. We need to cleanse this place, she said softly. But the source lies deeper beneath the riverbed, where ancient roots of darkness grow. Master Lam produced a talisman, etched with glowing runes. This can reveal hidden spiritual veins. If we can locate the core of corruption, perhaps we can strike it before it spreads. As night fell, the group prepared a ritual by the river, invoking the power of the celestial Fang. The air thrummed with energy as beams of pure light pierced the darkness, illuminating the water's depths. Suddenly, from the shadows emerged a figure, a hooded cultist bearing a twisted blade, eyes gleaming with fanatic zeal. You meddle in matters beyond your understanding, he hissed. The Shadow Veil will claim this town, and your efforts are futile. A fierce battle erupted on the riverbank, the clash of steel and magic ringing out under the moonlight. Amidst the chaos, Master Huyen noticed a strange symbol tattooed on the cultist's wrist, the mark of a secret faction even the Shadow Veil feared. "This is bigger than we imagined," he muttered, realizing the battle for Linton was only the opening act of a war that stretched far beyond. The night air hung heavy with tension as Master Huyen stood over the fallen cultist on the riverbank. The strange tattoo on the man's wrist glowed faintly, a mark unfamiliar even to the seasoned masters. Mai knelt beside the body, carefully inspecting the symbol. "This is the sigil of the eclipse," she murmured, her voice laced with unease. "An ancient faction said to be more ruthless and secretive than the Shadow Veil itself." Master Lam's pale eyes narrowed. "If they are involved, then our fight is far from over. The eclipse seeks not just to awaken the demon but to control it, bending its power for their own dark ambitions." Lin stepped forward, her emerald gaze steady. "We must uncover who within Linton and beyond wears this mark. They may be hidden among the town's influential figures." The group retreated to the Jade Lotus Sanctuary, where an urgent council was convened. The villagers were unaware of the true depth of the danger encroaching upon them. As the masters pored over ancient texts and maps, a disturbing pattern emerged. The Eclipse faction had infiltrated multiple layers of society: merchants, guards, even clergy, using deception and manipulation to weaken resistance. Meanwhile, whispers of strange occurrences spread throughout Linton. People spoke of shadowy figures lurking in the night, loved ones falling ill with inexplicable symptoms, and dreams haunted by sinister visions. One evening, as Master Huyen walked through the market square, a young boy approached him, clutching a faded pendant the same celestial design as the celestial Fang's hilt. "Master Huyen," the boy whispered urgently, "my sister is sick. She sees things. Terrible things in her dreams. She says the shadows speak to her." The masters understood the signs. The demon's influence was growing stronger, reaching into the hearts and minds of the innocent. To combat the escalating threat, they devised a plan to uncover the Eclipse's leaders. Lin used her heritage to sense spiritual imprints left by the faction's members, while Master Lam infiltrated the city's underbelly, seeking allies and information. During a covered meeting in a hidden chamber beneath the old temple, Lin discovered a vital clue: a map detailing locations marked with the Eclipse's symbol, including a forgotten crypt beneath Lin Tan's oldest cemetery. "This crypt might be their base," Lin explained. "If we can strike there, we can disrupt their operations and buy time. But entering the crypt would mean facing not just mortal foes but ancient traps and restless spirits bound by dark enchantments." As preparations began, Master Huyen found himself haunted by a recurring vision: a figure cloaked in black, holding the celestial fang, but its edge turned crimson with blood. "Beware the turning of the blade," the vision whispered. Determined to protect his town and those he cared for, Master Huyen rallied his companions. "Tomorrow, we descend into darkness. Together, we face the eclipse." The night before their mission, the town's skyline was pierced by streaks of lightning, the air charged with ominous energy. Unseen eyes watched from the shadows, and the stage was set for a battle that would decide not only the fate of Linton but the balance between light and shadow itself. The night was thick with anticipation as Master Huyen, Master Lam, Mai, and Lin stood before the crumbling gates of the ancient crypt beneath Linton's oldest cemetery. The air smelled of damp earth and forgotten sorrows, a heavy silence pressing down like a shroud. The crypt was the heart of the Eclipse faction's dark ambitions, a place where centuries-old curses and forbidden rituals coalesced into a storm threatening to engulf the town and beyond. Together, the four descended the winding stone stairs into the bowels of the earth. Flickering lanterns cast long, shifting shadows, and the walls seemed to pulse with an ominous life. The echoes of chanting reached them, low and menacing, weaving through the labyrinthine tunnels like venomous serpents. Ahead, robed figures gathered around a massive obsidian altar, its surface carved with sigils that pulsed with dark energy. At the center stood the Eclipse commander, a man draped in midnight robes, his eyes burning with fanatical light. In his hand gleamed a twisted blade, a dark mirror of the celestial Fang. "You dare challenge the Eclipse?" he hissed, voice dripping with malice. "The demon's power will be ours, and the world will kneel beneath its shadow." Master Lam stepped forward, voice calm but resolute. "Not while we still breathe." The battle erupted in a fury of spiritual power and steel. The crypt shook as sacred light clashed against corrupt darkness, each strike echoing like thunder. Master Huyen wielded the celestial Fang with newfound mastery, its radiant edge slicing through shadows that clawed at his soul. Mai chanted ancient blessings, weaving protective wards that shielded her allies and weakened their foes. Lin's celestial power flared, her eyes glowing with starfire as she banished the lingering curses that sought to bind them. Master Lam confronted the Eclipse commander in a duel of wills, their spiritual energies crackling and colliding. As the battle reached its zenith, the ancient demon stirred, sensing its prison weakening. Its roar reverberated through the crypt, shaking the very foundations. Summoning all their strength, the masters combined their powers in a final, devastating strike. The celestial Fang blazed with celestial light as it pierced the obsidian altar, shattering the Eclipse's ritual and sealing the demon once more. The crypt trembled, collapsing around them as they fled through the collapsing tunnels. Emerging into the dawn's first light, they watched as the earth sealed itself, burying the darkness for another age. Linton breathed again, its people freed from the shadows that had haunted them. In the days that followed, the town celebrated their heroes, but the masters knew their duty was never truly done. The balance between light and dark was delicate, and vigilance was eternal. Master Huyen and Master Lam, once rivals, now bound by respect and shared purpose, stood together on the temple steps. "Peace is fragile," Master Huyen said quietly. "But together, we keep the darkness at bay," Master Lam replied. Mai smiled, her gaze soft. "And the light always finds a way to shine." As the sun rose over Linton, casting golden rays across the land, the four companions looked toward the future, ready to face whatever new shadows might come, with hearts united and spirits unbroken. Title: The Shadows of Linton, The Celestial Fang Chronicles. Description: In the quiet town of Linton, An ancient evil stirs beneath the earth, threatening to engulf the land in darkness. Two masters, Master Huian, the proud heir of the Moonlight sect, and Master Lam, the mysterious blind seer, find themselves locked in a silent rivalry. But as the sinister cult known as the Shadow Veil, and an even darker faction called the Eclipse, rise to unleash a primordial demon, these rivals must unite. Together with Mai, the wise healer, and Lin, a descendant of celestial smiths, they embark on a perilous journey through treacherous mountains and haunted temples. Facing trials of shadows, betrayal, and inner demons, their fate, and that of Lin Tan, hinges on a legendary weapon, the celestial Fang. Will light prevail against the encroaching darkness, or will the ancient evil consume all?